right. Well, I've got a short recap then. Let me know what you would also fill in. But so this is a 14-15 recap. Overall session 14-15, last two sessions. Just to quickly note that. So back the previous session before that, Nora Baker, Thomas Watts had gone to Cecil Hunter's apartment, tailed by two thugs. Found the apartment like a mess with like bloody smears and things like that, and just like completely tossed. Did find a handful of clues there, particularly a mysterious reflective panel smeared with blood that, when uncovered, brought on strange hallucinations that afflicted particularly Mr. Watts. They were accosted by those thugs when they opened the door, but used the panel as a weapon of sorts by holding it up and being like, "What do you see here?" And they did not like what they saw. Mr. Wright, Ma'am Brady, and Miss Galloway had gone to the library. Mr. Wright had hung out in the top of the library, being unable to gain access to the lower levels, and he had spotted Flinders there, who he had convinced to help monitor Amelia Clark's movements. So if anything happens of note, he's supposed to come and go to find Galloway, likely at home, to let you guys know what he finds out. Down in the basement, you guys talked to Amelia Clark. She was kind of evasive, particularly around some stuff about witches and things like that. You didn't really get any really hard answers out of her, but you did snatch away a notebook which had some specific occult drawings and things and notes in it, particularly noting down Keziah Mason was a fool, a flute, mirror, lead, and rabbit. Then you met back up at Galloway's house. Watts did find a connection thing for a Professor McDonald who might be able to help with basically the cult goings on, give you some hints. You had followed that up by sending him specifically a telegram. You also then received an invitation to dine with Abner Wick tomorrow night at a rather fancy upscale establishment. You split back up, and Wright, Brady, and Baker went to Hibbs Roadhouse. You found Lucy there, the paramour of Leader. She was a bit bruised up, apparently having run into the thugs, but you tell her she can view the body tomorrow. I don't remember specifically what she did or did not tell you guys. I'll let you fill that in a sec. Baker has another connection there that she did. She found a local tough called Spike, who knows a bit more about underground doings. Asked him for information about Leader and the people who were following him. Basically said they're out for Atlantic City because Leader owes a bunch of money to some people who loan people, loan sharks who cover people's gambling debts. Wright meets a man named Jenkins, who is entertaining some guests from somewhere overseas. They are interested in the papers, and they have a wealth of diamonds to trade for them. If the papers are for sale, he can be found in room 312 of Cooper's Hotel. Watson Galloway headed off to the university. Sent a telegram to actually both Professor McDonald and and Abner Wick, letting Abner Wick know that he can do the body tomorrow. You go and talk to Dean Fallon. Of the various things he said, I think notably he mentioned Amelia Clark was in late that day, which you had already confirmed earlier anyway, he had noticed. He will have his assistant try and track down Cecil Hunter's family. He does have some recollection of Cecil Hunter going to school there. As you were leaving, there was a strange darkness and some kind of creature breaking out of the ground. I have like a longer introduction to that when we're ready to jump into it. So is there anything you guys would note beyond this recap that's important?
I talked to a guy named Spike who told us who the enforcers were.
Oaks and Shaughnessy.
Yes, and then Wright pushed a roll for the first time, and we got some guy who was looking for antique items that he talked to for a bit.
Oh, and I believe you spotted that he has something in his coat pocket you were thinking about trying to steal from him.
Yes.
But you don't know what it is, and it might be a bit dangerous. You're literally trying to pickpocket somebody like right in front of them. So do so at your own risk.
Well, there's a lot of people and commotion, and something did just. I don't know if that's close to us or not.
Yeah, I mean, so hypothetically, like, you guys would be presumably like this is not all happening rapid fire as soon as you get there in terms of your various discussions and stuff. Like, you would presumably be going, spending the evening at Hibbs Roadhouse and talking to a few different people while you're there. So, like, hypothetically, you guys could be hanging out for a bit, and you could wait until he goes to the bathroom or goes to get a drink or something. Um, to bump into him to try and I would say that if you hang out for a bit, you will have an opportunity potentially to try and orchestrate that and figure out how it goes.
And then shortly after that, I think right before the session ended, there was something significant that happened, right?
The very last thing, as I was saying, was you mean at his Roadhouse or the other thing?
Well, I guess it was at the other place.
Yeah, the other place. That's where we have something erupting from the ground at the university.
Okay.
Why don't we go over there? Because that's very immediately. In terms of like the follow-up things I have for the evening right now, which by and large we're going to do this game since we're missing James, is that there's any last things you guys want to do at the Hibbs Roadhouse. Notably, there's the thing in the jacket if you want to try and get something from him. The situation in the university quad. I noted in here that there was some talk about trying to track down Amelia's house, which you may have some difficulty doing after hours. Going and you have to, I guess, think of a way to figure out where to get that information at this point in time. You will potentially talk about taking a look at Leader's house or Roach's house.
Sorry. Yeah, I did remember, like, when I was editing the videos to upload to YouTube, I remembered we had talked about finding her house, and, like, I remembered that was something we said we could ask the dean if he knew.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if you want to retcon that you asked the dean, we could certainly say, because that was literally just moments before that we moved forward. And I do have like a fresh introduction to like what happens when you leave that building.
Yeah, like, as we're leaving, I'm like, I'll say to Mr. Watson, be like, "Oh, we were gonna ask him about Amelia Court's house. Let me go speak with him about that."
Okay.
So you still find the dean ensconced in his office, and he looks up and says, "Galloway, is there something that you still needed?"
Yeah, sorry to bother you again, but we were looking for Miss Amelia Court, and she seems rather important to our investigation with her close ties to Professor Leader and the papers themselves. So I was wondering if you knew where she lived, possibly, so we can have easier access and not have to scour the campus for her.
He thinks to himself. He says, "Well, the Court family maintains a large property on the outskirts of town, but I'm pretty sure that she has a small flat that's just outside of the campus. And he provides you an address that's like basically just around the corner for what would be like a rooming house of some reasonable quality."
I imagine I have like a notepad or something that I can write it down on.
Terrible investigator. You don't take any notes.
Me personally, I don't take much notes, but I imagine Luis would take notes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'll say, well, thank you again, and we'll get out of your hair and make sure to have this settled quickly.
He says, "I do hope that we get this resolved soon. The family is certainly breathing down my neck. Now, I must finish up these documents so I can get home.
Of course.
I do hope the weather doesn't get any worse." And you hear as the rain lashes against the window stronger.
Of course. And then I'll just head out.
All right. So I will say that we're gonna go across to the map that I made. Here we go.
Okay.
The map that I Found it's very hard to find Call of Cthulhu maps. Everything's D&D maps. Like, you know, it's like, no, it's not a castle. We don't have those in this time period. Anyway, this seemed about as appropriate as I could find. So you regroup, obviously meeting back up with Mr. Watts, and as you're heading out of the building, you find yourself on a covered, sort of stoop. Initially, you look out. The storm that has rolled in is battering the city. The rain is falling in sheets, cascading off roofs and overflowing gutters. Upon exiting the faculty building, you find yourselves looking across the quadrangle in the center of the university. A large fountain in the middle of the quad obscures the view of the library on the far side. After a sudden clap of thunder nearby, the lights in the adjacent buildings flicker a few times and then go out. Darkness descends as a strange rumbling begins. The sound is distinctly different than the thunder from moments ago. A few moments later, another lightning strike slams into the top of the library just as the ground in front of the building bursts upwards, sodden paving stones being thrown in all directions. As the light fades, you see a seething mass rising from the ground, a pulsating red glow as if coming from dying embers cover the thing. As another, I guess, yeah, that's your initial intro there. Basically, you guys have a moment to react if there's something that you want to say or do.
So big explosion, big monster, basically.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to see. It's like essentially just kind of like a kind of red, like glowing things that kind of fade in and out of something across from you.
Okay. Do we hear like any like people hurt? Any screams of like somebody hurt?
At this point, no. There is the sound of the rain is pretty substantial. You don't hear or see anybody else around. You just see this monster across the way.
And you said the lightning struck the library?
The library, essentially, yes, behind where it is on the far side, lighting up the area.
So the back of the library, that's where the archives is. Like, you have to go through the front all the way to the back to get downstairs.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure. What do you think Watts is gonna do?
I say, oh my god, what was that? Stay back, Miss Galloway.
I'll say the lightning hit behind the library. That's where Miss Court was.
It was, but I think something has come out of the ground. Let's be quiet and move this way.
Of course.
So then, as you are finishing this brief discussion, another lightning bolt strikes a nearby building, and the fiend can finally be properly seen. It's not entirely made of writhing and glowing red-black worm-like creatures. It is at least covered in them. Standing on 4 legs, it looms over 12 feet high and nearly as wide. As the lightning fades, you see 6 distinct points of blackness on what must be the head, below which appear rows of vicious gleaming teeth. It raises its head, unleashing an otherworldly ululation that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Give me sanity rolls. Because of your experience earlier, Watts, I will say you get a bonus die on your sanity roll, which is not exactly rules as written, but I thought it was the best way to accomplish this.
Yes.
Okay.
What does that mean? A bonus
You
die?
basically get advantage.
If you click
Do I
in
get
the
to roll
chat
again?
on bonus, it'll do it for you.
Oh, okay, great.
Ooh,
Does that mean I fail?
that was pretty bad.
No, you that you got a 25. So Watts, give me 1d4, and Galloway, give me 1d8.
Oof.
Three for today.
Oof, lucky. So you lose 2 and 3 sanity respectively. So neither of you suffers a bout of madness at this point in time. We are going to go into turn order. So if you want to select your tokens and click on your turn order thing in your piece and your sheet.
Turn order is under combat.
So the only weapon listed is a mace. So I don't think Miss
Pepper
Galloway
spray.
is. Yeah.
Even
is,
if it's a worm, it might react really badly to pepper spray. Have you ever put pepper on a worm?
I have not.
It's its only weakness. Let's get some salt as well.
Okay, so Watts, unless you are like immediately drawing your weapon and firing at this thing, you're second in the turn order.
Yeah, there's no chance I would have got my weapon out just yet. I would have wanted to
Okay.
confirm what I'd seen, which now I've confirmed what I've seen. But it's too late to react now.
So I'll say, so on this creature's turn, starting off, the creature seems to take a moment after looking at you, seeming to look in your direction to and to releasing this strange noise, to look around it as surroundings before once again fixing at you. After that brief moment of consideration, it surges with preternatural speed across the quadrangle towards you, crossing half the distance in a tiny period of time. And it gets to here. All right, Watts.
Hey, what words did I decipher in Arlian? Did I ever look up the Conqueror Worm or anything like that? I don't think I did. Yeah, do I know any basic words that I could say? Like stop or something like that?
You could try, but it is going to be
Extremely hard.
yeah, it's yeah, exactly. You're like, I would say it was going to be like as much a luck roll as anything. It's extremely hard.
And
for you to
there
find it.
like a roll for the language itself
Yeah.
to see if you
Yeah,
can
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's
Yeah,
not
basically,
worth it.
yeah, you got such a low skill at this point in time.
Okay. In that case, then guns out, and I am going to stand in front of Professor Galloway to usher her back, kind of thing. And I'm going to try and get her back into the building by walking backwards, like
Pushing her
turning
back.
her back.
Yes,
Yeah, not
the
turning her back on the thing. I'm trying to push her back into the doorway of the building we just came out of.
Alrighty. I will say that's kind of a held action. So based on whether Galloway like retreats or moves, I'll say you can change which direction you go.
Yeah, I mean, my aim is to get back in that building.
All right, Galloway, how are you reacting?
So yeah, if seeing this thing come at us that quick, if he's ushering to go back in, I'll follow his lead and head in. Can I just want to look around? Is there like any like near the front, like something I could grab just to use as a weapon? Like I'm thinking like a fire extinguisher or
Give me a spot hidden.
like I know a lot of places used to have like just axes.
Yeah, I guess give me a spot hidden as you're like retreating into the door.
Like a fire axe. Spot. No. Fail.
Yeah, you in your rush to get inside the door, you do not immediately notice something that would serve well in that regard. I would say there certainly is like potentially like a chair or something like that. Something that is a makeshift weapon that you could grab that would be just inside the doorway here, but nothing quite so useful as like specifically an axe.
Then if I can't find anything like specifically like a weapon, I'll just grab like a chair or something nearby, just to
Okay.
have something better than my fists or mace.
All right. So coming back around to the top of the turn order, the thing is still coming towards you with great speed. You see it continue to barrel along the ground, knocking paving stones with each step as it sinks into the ground. Another lightning bolt that slams down nearby, and thunder crashes down around you. You hear the screeching noise, and the darkness. All you can see is the glowing red lights as they come closer and closer, with those deep black pools of eyes set within its 6 eyes set within its face. As it gets closer and is just about to reach you at the door there, it seems to suddenly falter and fall directly through the ground, tumbling bodily out of existence in this realm. The rainfall, while still heavy, is not nearly as strong as it was moments ago. Lights begin to flicker back on, and you hear thunder rumble once more in the distance. And you're back out of combat.
Okay. So I thought like right after I ended my turn, I probably instead of just holding the chair would have like pushed it up against the door. So I'll say I'm doing that as it just disappears.
Yeah, basically, like right as it was about to slam into the door, it somehow like loses its actual corporeal being and fades out of existence right before it would slam straight into it. Which it clearly had some, considering it was knocking things like to and fro as it came across the quad.
I'll
Can I make any sense of what I just seen?
I guess that's a good question. I mean, yeah, I don't know if it makes sense to do a roll. Like,
Let's say do I recognize anything from the tablets I briefly skimmed through on the Arlean tablets? Like anything, like any symbols or anything that kind of remotely resembled this versus anything that I know of in the occult?
There is certainly some symbology of meaning to draw here as to this being basically like an otherworldly entity, something confirming your suspicions of that there are things like this that are either in this plane or potentially other ones, obviously, and crossing over that have potentially terrible things that they want to do. Maybe not even terrible so much as just things that simply are inimical to human life and are unknowable to you in terms of the reasons that they act the way that they do. Beyond that, obviously, there is some, you can certainly draw the parallels as to your experiences so far in terms of what's happening right now. This is not something totally unrelated to the mystery at hand. Beyond that, in terms of getting more specific as far as the tablets, etc., that is something that I would think you will be able to find more about. But like it's a big step to get anything extremely meaningful at this stage, considering you've only just started.
Yeah, so it wouldn't like just say, "Oh, tablet number 7 had this symbol of this worm-like thing all over it."
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I think, yeah, that's basically it. And in terms of like, obviously like trying to start connect some of the like symbology you've seen with these papers, etc., and this kind of other clues that you've had, is that there is some kind of creature that is trying to break through the boundaries between planes that's connected with these papers. It's safe to say that you can come to that.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Professor Galloway, it looks like my theories are correct in otherworldly beings coming to this world, and if it's able to phase in, knock things over, and then it somehow disappears out, that I believe would be the cause of Professor Leader's death, perhaps.
Perhaps I could explain how it entered a locked room. But I think Miss Court has more to do with this than she let on. I think we should go check out the archives to see if she's still there.
I believe we should too. See if everybody's okay for one. The only thing I will warn you of, Professor Galloway, is that you have quite a name for yourself here at the university. I do give you fair warning that talking about this kind of stuff to the authorities is laughed upon. Talking from personal experience, so this is going to be a tough one to prove out, but we can't just go there right now. We have to get more evidence, some kind of proof to make sure that we can keep your name as reputable as possible. Otherwise, you'll just be known as the cuckoo professor.
I'm not worried about my reputation. I'm worried about if Miss Court is the cause of this, that she figures out how to keep that creature here.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if she has a big part to play in this. Let's head over there now and keep an eye on the weather. It seemed that the thing got weaker when the weather cleared up a bit. Not
Or did the
weaker,
weather
but
clear up because it got weaker?
I think the weather has a role to play. There's an indication of how strong these things are.
The creature and the weather are connected in some way.
It seems that way. It seems that every strange occurrence that has happened thus far is through the unexpected weather of the night.
All right, so if you're going to head over to the library, let's cut back over to Brady. I wrote the wrong thing on my sheet. It is right. Sorry. It is right, Brady and Baker. I wrote Galloway again for some reason. Galloway's in two places at once. No, right, Brady and Baker over in Hibs Roadhouse.
Yeah, well, I figured once I finished talking to Spike, I was going to head back over towards the school and see if I could find Galloway. See if she would know where Amelia is, because she's the person who knows the university the best. As far as like where she lives, rather.
Alrighty. Well, before you take off, is there anything that you want to do then?
Yeah, I had planned on, like, during either the conversation or maybe just passing by, like, kind of like trip into the Mr. Jenkins and attempt to take whatever's in his pocket.
All right, I'm going to say give me a luck roll as to whether or not a good situation is going to come up for you to be able to pull this off, and then we're going to do a sleight of hand. And that the sleight of hand will be based on the difficulty, will be based on the luck. And I will say you can make a choice as to whether your luck is good or not. Like, it's not like you don't know. It's as in, like, you're like, oh, look, perfect situation. You got drunk and he's stumbling about because you had great luck person. There's not really a good opportunity and it's going to be hard.
Trying to find luck.
It's up at like the top. It's like it's not just like a regular skill. It's like one of your
Okay,
main stats.
gotcha. Yeah, there it is. Here we go. Seems good.
That's very good. All right. So as the night goes on and you're there for a little while, you see as he has downed a few drinks and he gets up to go to the bathroom. He's stumbling a little bit. Obviously, not holding his alcohol too well. And you have your excellent opportunity to make a move. Describe how you're going to do it, and give me a sleight of hand roll.
So I guess I'd kind of position myself if I knew he'd been kind of just kind of slamming some drinks down. Probably position myself in a way that I'd be where he'd be walking towards me, and so I'd be acting as if I'm just walking, away from where he's walking towards, and so I might try and simulate myself either accidentally bumping into him or possibly even tripping into him.
All right. Give me a sleight of hand roll. It is sleight of hand, right? I don't know if I'm getting that mixed up with 2D. Oh, there you go. You only needed a success. You bump into him seemingly accidentally and apologize, and and he seems to understand that it's probably as much his fault as yours, he would think, considering he's stumbling about a bit himself. You casually slip your hand into his pocket, into his vest pocket of his jacket, and you feel a small black book in there that you're most likely will soon. You feel a small book in the pocket, and you gently pry it free and pull it out without him noticing, surreptitiously putting it away into your own pocket.
I just hope this doesn't bite myself in the butt later on.
All right, so you make your way back over to your friends, and you, I guess, can tell them whether, if you want to, that you found this book, if you want to try and look at it or not. Or
I will wait till. Are we? I guess Mr. Red is still with us, so I guess we'll just. I guess as. Nora and me and Mr. Wright kind of exit the building, I'll kind of pull him to the side, and I'm not sure that Nora was really aware of Mr. Jenkins. I knew it was just me and Mr. Wright that had been talking to him, so I'll just kind of inform her about Jenkins and this mysterious person he's working for that's got some knowledge of the papers, and that he might be interested in purchasing them. So, and then I'll just kind of show the book or the item that I had pickpocketed.
Do you open it up?
Yeah, as long as we're outside and like kind of a ways away, and it's just the three of us that I can tell. Yeah.
You take a look inside. It is filled with a bunch of notes. They appear to be all written in Arabic.
Oh.
Well, perhaps Galloway will have some idea who can read it for us. We'd best to get a closer look at it, but I would like to find Amelia Court's house before too late. If the rest of you don't mind heading back to the university, perhaps we can track it down, preferably before she returns home for the evening.
Agreed. That's definitely a matter of importance here.
So are you heading to the university then? Right, and you're driving still?
Yeah, sure.
So as you are driving, the rain has obviously at this point been lashing down. There is a crescendo in the level of rain that was earlier in the evening, but it's now a bit later than the events that just happened a bit earlier. I will say the three of you, I guess, I'll roll one for James. Give me spot hidden rolls. All of you, as you were driving across the bridge between the north side and the south side of Arkham, look out across the river as the rain continues to fall fairly heavily. You see a series of lights that seem to be floating along the river. They are strange spots with almost like a red fiery phosphorescence that just sort of shifts and moves unnaturally. You can't really make anything of it. It's definitely not any kind of natural phenomenon you're familiar with.
Sorry, so they're like red, sort of like glowing firefly type lights or something?
Yeah, more or less, although obviously brighter than a firefly because they seem to be some distance along the river at different ranges.
All right.
So I will then cut back over to Watson Galloway. You guys are heading over to the library.
Yeah, on my way over, I'd love to take a look around on the route that this thing ran along to see if anything that came off it, like a spike, a tooth, a worm, anything like that.
Yeah, I'd also like to quickly inspect like the crater it made, where it came out of the ground.
Sorry, the stupid thing got all rocked up underneath me. Great. I will say yes. You can certainly do that. We will have some things that you will find, regardless. But if you want to be spot hints or whether you see anything particularly beneficial.
Not rolling great.
So you do, as you like take a look through this, it is clear that there is obviously physical impact. That yes, it actually did have a physical manifestation. That it appeared just out in front of the library in the grassy area primarily, but seemed to almost break free from the ground when you saw it. The actual damage does appear that like various bits of grass and paving stones had been thrown upwards by it coming out of the ground. But there doesn't seem to be any actual like hole or anything underneath it. It's as if it sort of manifested upwards just below the surface. Then it did do some specific damage, but you can't really see anything that is a meaningful track that it left. It did not leave like footprints of any kind.
Interesting.
I'll say that, yeah, Watts in particular, taking a very careful look, while it did not leave footprints, it did seem to leave some strange brown markings, basically as if the grass where it had passed had placed its weight down upon, where it wasn't actually breaking the ground, had almost like sucked the life from the grass. It killed it off. That is not as obvious in the rain and the darkness at the moment. But as you carefully look, you can see that it's not merely physically disturbed, but seems to have had some kind of direct effect on the grass itself.
It's funny, there's no footprints to be found. Like these strange brown markings, as though the impact had, you said, killed? Is that what you said? Like,
yeah, basically, it's like killed or at least very much hurt the grass in like a way in which it grows and lives.
Say yes, that's very strange. I think all the more reason to stop whatever caused it to appear.
wonder if the mirror would have had an impact if I just flashed that at it, or it would have been an impact for the worse. Released something else.
Not sure, but
I don't know, but now that we've thought of it, I think we might have to try. It might be the last thing our characters ever do, but it'd be cool.
Maybe the last thing the world ever does.
All right, so you're heading over to the library now?
yeah.
Yeah, there's no claws or teeth that fell out or anything like that, right?
No, so yeah, you otherwise find no physical manifestation of its passing in terms of its actual body. It seems like its physical manifestation wholly disappeared when it disappeared.
And evidently, with this creation of a crater where this thing came out of, it's safe to assume that this isn't a portal that they keep coming out of regularly. So it seems as though they'll probably appear in multiple different places, so we cannot set a trap.
Yeah.
Anywho, let's get to the archives.
So approaching the library door, you find it locked. It is now it has gotten reasonably late. I guess past about 9 p.m. I would assume at this point. Yeah, the doors are locked. But there is some lights inside.
I'll just like knock on the door. Is it like glass, so just knock on the glass of the door?
You wait a moment, and there is initially no response.
DM said initially. I'll rap on it a bit harder. Bang, bang, bang.
As you rap on it harder, you hear a voice yell out from inside saying, "Hold on, I'm on my way." And a young man unbars the door and opens it. You can see him through the small glass portal. And says, "Library's closing up. What can I do for you?"
Do you know if Amelia Court is still in the archives?
Court. She was down there earlier. I think she left. I'm pretty sure she left.
Would it be alright if we went down and quickly checked?
He squints at you in the poor light as the rain comes down and says, "You're Galloway, Professor Galloway. Sorry, Professor Galloway. Yes, of course.
Yes.
You have dispensation to access the archives."
As do I. I'll hold up my archive permission slip.
He's like, "I'll have to take a look at that, but if it does say what you claim, then certainly you can both come in. Come on in to get out of the rain, as you are both definitely quite wet."
Yeah. So yeah, we'll try to be quick, so as not to keep you too much later. But thank you for letting us in.
He looks over Watt's papers very carefully, scrutinizing them, and says, "Well, it seems all in order. So if you want to go down there and take a look to confirm, by all means. I'll be locking up and leaving soon, so just make sure that you ensure the door bars itself on your way out."
Of course.
Thank you, old chap.
He just like gives you a bit of a look, a little squinty, like,
Like, as soon as we're a distance, I'm gonna like pick up my pace to try to be there quicker.
Is there anything specific you want to do, or are you just like heading down to where you had found her before to take a look around?
I'm just
I'd
beelining for the archives.
Yep. I'd like to have my pistol ready and concealed.
Okay.
I'll pull my. I imagine like I have like a bag or something. I'll pull my mace out of my bag and like put it in the easier to get to like pocket or something.
That makes sense. All right, so yeah, you make a beeline for the archives. Of course, there's virtually nobody else on staff. You do see the one overnight security guard who is making the rounds around this time, passing through, and gives you a nod since you clearly have been allowed to enter. You head down into the archives and find where you found Amelia Clark before. You see no sign of her. There are a couple books still left on the desk that may have been the ones she was referencing. That is the right place, but she's not there.
Are there? So when we came down earlier, there were 3 lights. Are there any other lights, or is it just completely dark down here?
No, yeah, it was basically completely dark down here, and you had to turn the lights on when you entered. There was only like the one wayfinding light from the center of the storage space that is always left on.
I would imagine we're not like turning on any lights. I would just have the flashlight on. I just want to quickly scan the desk that she was using. To see
Same. I'd like to take a look at a closer look to see anything jumping
Yeah,
out.
just briefly to see like the titles of the book she was looking at, or if she may have left any notes or anything.
Sure.
And also, I'd like to look at the shelves in this immediate area to see if there's anything missing from the shelves, like with a dusty imprint, like something was here and now is not.
You find 2 books. One of them is a fairly normal copy of a history of the Salem witch trials, which is not a secret book that is kept down here normally. Obviously, it was just left down here. You would assume that she like left in a hurry because it's academics tend to clean up after themselves in terms of like being down here and keeping the space well organized. You then also find, as far as one of the books belong here. It is one of the single copies of a history of like actual court proceedings for the witch trials that covers like the general history of like the actual specific court trials and stuff that had happened during that period of time, during the Salem witch trials. Both books are closed with no clear markings as to where they were being referenced, though.
The court proceedings and Amelia Court, a link, perhaps?
I just want to like take my flashlight and like scan the ground around the desk to see if there's any markings on the ground. Just kind of
You do not see anything unusual. Certainly some signs of passage. Obviously she was here before, but nothing like that dropped or strange to find.
Okay.
Perhaps we should check the Arlean tablets out to see if any of them have been moved or gone.
That is we can check that out. I would suggest we check the other levels just briefly.
I agree. Do you want to split up or?
With that creature, I would rather we stick together.
Fair enough. That was a scary looking thing.
I think I forget which level the tablets were on. I think they were on the second level.
I think Court was on third, so
yeah,
we'd have to go up. Yeah.
So yeah, you take a quick look around on this level to see if there's anything you missed, and head up to the second level. The second level is similarly only has like the main wayfinding light in the main hallway down the center that's on. Heading down to the Rylean tablets, you find them much as you had previously left them, Watts. And you don't see any specific signs of passage or of Amelia Court's presence.
I'll start reading one as long as possible until Galloway pulls me off.
As soon as like you start reading one, I'll say, Mr. Watts, we have very pressing matters.
Right, yes. I was just seeing if there's any reference to that creature thing. I've seen a symbol that looks like it before.
Well, I think now
we
is
should
not
perhaps
the time
meet up with the others. I agree. I think we should perhaps try and meet up with the others, and I think safety in numbers at this point.
Yeah. Before we leave, I'd like to just check the other floors to make sure no one else is here.
On the first floor, you do find one of the professors from the history department going over some old scrolls for Egyptian history, related to Egyptian history, but not something that would arouse your suspicion. Just that, yeah, there are occasionally other people working late here, and that's what this fellow is doing.
Is there a fourth floor or is a third at the bottom?
Third's the bottom.
Okay. I'll say to Mr. Watts, I guess she did leave, but
you managed to get her address though, right?
Yes, I did from the dean.
Great. So I think we should perhaps meet up with Nora. So she's more of an investigative, pushy type. I think it'd be good to try and get her to go to Amelia's house.
Seems reasonable. I guess we should head back to my home then.
Yes. What is the time right now? Like, it's closing the library. It's dark, right?
Yeah, it's getting on past well past 9 p.m. On towards like 10. And I would say that probably would be about like getting on being 10:30 at 11 is when Nora and team are coming back over the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
okay, I guess if it was that late, then yeah, I would probably just head for Galloway's directly.
Yeah, I need to start thinking about getting back to my place as well for the night.
I mean, with the situation and the rain, if I have space, you can sleep on the couch. Mr. Brady is staying in the guest room. But I have room if you'd rather stay there.
Professor Galloway, I think that is a wonderful offer that I would love to take you up on. Safety in numbers and all. I was a little bit apprehensive to go by myself, especially since we had those two thugs chasing myself and Nora earlier.
Yes.
Rather not be alone. Let's head back to yours.
All right, so you head over to Galloway's house without any further manifestations, and arriving there, you can settle on down and dry yourselves off, and shortly thereafter, the rest of the crew shows up.
I guess we'll just relay what happened to us.
Holy smokes, you would not believe what we have just seen. Think about the woods, triple that by about 1,000, and you're getting closer to what we're talking about here, Nora and Brady. This thing came out of this ground out of nowhere. Thunder, lightning struck, and all of a sudden we could see these red glowing lights from across the way from us. Could not quite make out what it was. I had a suspicion. Of course I did. And then the second crack of lightning appeared, and then the teeth. Oh, the teeth. It looked like it was covered in worms. I can't remember. Did you say
Yeah.
it looked like it? Yeah. Body covered in
Oh,
worms.
they're red. So they're red and black worms that glow with almost like a burning fire, embery light within them.
It's red and black
Like the
worms.
worms in the mirror?
Like the worms in the mirror.
Exactly like what I experienced in the mirror with those things crawling all over my body, but of creature form, 4 legs as well, which is odd for a worm type creature. They started barreling towards us across the courtyard, knocking things over, flying everywhere. And with my quick thinking, I managed to get Professor Galloway back inside to safety in the building. As she was hunting for an axe to fight this creature by hand, it fell through the ground. Another crack of lightning, and it just fell into the ground and disappeared.
The whole time he's explaining it, I'm just looking at Miss Galloway to qualify what he's talking about is true.
Definitely rolling my eyes at some of the embellishments that he's putting on it.
Nora is just dripping on your carpet, I assume, because she was out front driving the car the whole time, and like chain smoking as she listens to him tell the story.
I
And
don't think anything I said was untrue.
Just embellished a little bit.
Yeah, very sensational.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So I believed Miss Court had some doing with the creature's appearance, but she was not in the archives. So I'm
Anymore.
at least, I mean, I don't think she would have had time to leave before we got there. It could be she did whatever caused this creature to appear at her home, and it caused it to appear here.
Damn, and if she's already gone home, we've missed our chance. I'll have to wait till she leaves in the morning.
Do you think it was summoned to target us specifically because we've been asking questions?
I mean, I'm new to this kind of thing, so I have no idea how this would work. But
If you think about it, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Professor Galloway.
no, I was just gonna say if we are onto something, and it had the ability to target, then that would make sense.
Yeah, because like if you do the math, leader figured something out, dead all of a sudden. The Cecile boy forging these documents, probably getting more information than he needs to know. suddenly insane.
It does seem that whatever these documents detail, the knowledge that they contain may be rather hazardous to the people that read it. Perhaps we should speak with their original finders and glean what we can from the Cobbs about what exactly the papers document.
Well, Nora, knowing you for quite some time now and how forward you are with your opinions and defense, Professor Galloway did get Amelia Court's address if you perhaps wanted to pay her a visit.
That could be beneficial, but at this point, I suspect she may already have her back up a little with regards to our investigation. Perhaps I can learn more when she is not at home. But once she leaves for work in the morning, it may be possible to hop around. It's good to know that we have at least the address in hand.
I'll hand over the paper that has the address to you.
Perhaps, Watts, you would go speak to the Cobbs and see if they have any knowledge of things pertaining to some of the stranger things we have encountered. I feel you may have a more delicate touch than I.
Yeah, of course I would love to do that. And I'm sure they could tell me a few things that they know that we haven't quite seen yet. Oh boy, this creature was ugly, I tell you that.
Well, first thing in the morning, we do have an appointment to show the body.
As you are discussing, there is a loud rapping at the door.
Is that Eminem?
Something, Mom Spaghetti.
It's the worm creature.
I'll say visitors again.
I'm gonna hold my weapon this time. Like I'm so on
I'll
tilt.
be like palming the mace as well.
Yeah. Nora is like right on the other side of the door as you open it, gun in hand.
I will peek through the window.
You see a very bedraggled and wet Flinders.
I'll sigh and turn to everyone else and say, "It's just Flinders," and then open the door.
Stupid
Nora
60
keeps
Flinders.
the gun exactly where it is.
I'll open the door and say, "Yes, may I help you?"
Flinders attempts to burst into the room. Are you going to try and stop him?
I'll just kind of like step out of the way if I notice he's like rushing in.
I will let him like in so he's not in the rain, but stand right in front of him with the gun not pointed at him, but like in my hand, so he stops preferably.
He stops short all of a sudden and says, "Tell the dame to put away the heater. I've got news of court."
Of course, Miss Baker. Let's be civil. Come, let's sit by the. Let's go have a seat in the kitchen.
He says,
and I'll.
He says, like, no, hold it, hold before we make a move. There's something afoot. I followed court as you asked me to do, and she didn't go home after she left the library not long ago. In fact, she went to the cemetery, Arkham Cemetery. I lost her in there. She was going deeper and deeper into the cemetery, and I tried to follow her, but it was so dark, so much rain, and then suddenly she was gone.
Most suspicious. Nora sort of grumbles.
Tell me more about the weather, Flinders.
Sorry, more about the what?
The weather. What points of the weather did all this go down?
He'll say like the rain seemed to pick up more and more as I was following her, and was crashing down like I've never seen it by the time we entered the cemetery. It seemed to start easing up as I thought I was still following her, and then I suddenly realized that she wasn't even ahead of me anymore. I don't know where she went.
I'm gonna start packing my things to head to the cemetery. Oh,
Yeah, Nora's already like holding the door open, gesturing people towards the car.
I'll say just one moment, and I'll go upstairs to my bedroom and grab my rifle.
Good call.
um, does he look like he's telling the truth?
Yeah, you could check that.
I mean, I obviously it's not worth me checking it, but I'll try it anyway.
go for it.
What is it,
Henchman
psychology?
trying to lead us in.
I don't think I
There you
put
go.
the rifle in the
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like, does
but
Nora think that this guy was actually even following her court in the first place?
Yeah, you could psychology check. You think
Trying to
he's making
deceive
stuff up?
us.
He seems like he is being straight with you.
Well, Flinders, I think it's safe to stay indoors when the weather picks up. Just take my advice on this one, and don't go outside when it's heavy weather.
Oh, he's coming with us. Nora is gonna like pull him up into the front of the car with her so he can point out exactly where he
Oh.
lost court.
Also, I wanted to know. I tried to sketch the creature whilst we were talking. I assume with my symbolic and stuff skill sets that I have of writing and drawing, I would have done an okay job.
There is a rule for this, but I'll say, yeah, you capture it in a basic sense. I do believe there is actually like an art skill thing that you can pick up.
I desperately want to half-ass paint this up in MS Paint right now.
I'll have to do that for you right now.
Make it look like a toddler drew it up.
Oh, that's literally how it would look if I did it. Right
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
okay, I'll come downstairs with my rifle and just be like, well, this isn't very concealable, but it's all I got. But if we want
Blimey,
to
Miss
run
Galloway.
into another one of those creatures, I'd rather have something to defend myself with.
Nora kind of raises an eyebrow approvingly. Glad you're taking this seriously. Shall we?
You're packing some heat there, Miss Galloway, Professor Galloway.
My father was a military man, so made sure I knew how to use one of these.
Right, chugga chugga, let's go.
All right, should we take a quick pee break before we get into this next section? We're not going to go too much longer, so we don't leave James high and dry on what might be exciting turns of events, but we will get to the cemetery and do some additional getting in there. All right, so you guys are just leaving Galloway's house with a frantic Flinders in tow about how he had lost Amelia Clark court. Amelia Court.
Wait,
Somewhere
does
in-
everybody have torches?
Yeah, I guess I was gonna say you should probably be packing some kind of light. It's quite dark.
Let me see if I have one in my possession.
I would imagine there'd be at least one in the house.
I have a searchlight.
Yeah, I would assume. Let's say there's probably one in the house, and then I would assume at least one of you has another one as well.
Yeah, I have a searchlight and whiskey, so I'm gonna take a swig.
Steal your nerves. That's a good idea. All right. Are you hopping into the car? It is. I don't think it's actually on the map. I don't know that. No, there it is. It's on the other side from the. It's on the other side of the campus. So you don't have too far to go, but it's a long walk or a short drive.
I'll step in there. I'll step into the car carefully because it's wet.
I will say, not all of you can fit in the car. could probably fit like that, or at least no. If you squeeze everybody, it'll be real uncomfortable. But you could squeeze everybody in there, or are you gonna make Flinders walk?
Well, I was gonna pull Flinders into the front seat with me, so he could point out exactly where they were. I figure we could drive part of the way into the graveyard in theory. If there's
No.
no.
I don't think so. There would at least it would be. It's like it would be hard going. You might get the car stopped.
Okay. Well, then we'll stop at the gate or whatever.
So driving across town, the rain pelts you, particularly the ones in the front seat, because the front seat is open to the elements. The traditional problem. And you find yourself a short while later at the entry to Arkham Cemetery. This is a very old cemetery that dates back to the founding of the city. It is quite full with few unclaimed plots left in it. There are a variety of larger mausoleums and crypts that have also been constructed by various wealthy families who have been established in the city for a long period of time, making it a tight-going and difficult place to navigate. There is a large archway that marks the entrance with wrought iron, carefully made to look quite ornamental, and high iron fencing that goes all the way around on top of a short stone wall. Flinders hops out of the car and beckons for you all to follow him.
Did anyone follow us?
Give me a spot hidden.
Alright, I'm in my possessions.
Oh, I didn't see that you said down there.
Nice.
Not as far as you can see. It is basically pretty dead right now in terms of just like the general like looking around. Like it's raining quite hard. It's the middle of the night now. There's basically nothing you can see anything. You saw maybe like one other car going the other direction.
Flinders, where exactly did you lose her?
He says, "This way. I'll show you." And he beckons for one of you to with the lantern to follow. He says. I had no light of my own, so it was very difficult to see where she was going. But I think I can show you where I got to.
I have spotlight and my searchlight in my left hand and my pistol out in my right hand.
Yeah.
I will have my pistol readied as well.
I guess I'd hand someone else the flashlight that I have, so I have both hands for the rifle.
I can handle the flashlight.
Okay. I was gonna take a couple steps sort of to the back of the group, so I'm kind of on the periphery of the light, so it doesn't affect my night vision too much. I can kind of keep an eye out and see if there's anyone paying attention to us.
Alrighty. As you go in, I guess if you're trying to pay attention to the periphery, give me a spot hidden roll for that. You are keeping a very good watch out. I will let you know if anything particularly comes up based on that. Then, yeah, beyond that, so Flinders beckons you onwards. He seems almost frantic. It says, it's like, who knows what she was up to? Clearly some kind of deep magics are afoot. And he starts weaving his way down the aisles of between the various stones into one of the older parts of the cemetery in particular. You see various taller buildings that are built here, as I mentioned, mausoleums and crypts with barred doors and gates that block entrance. As you make your way in, you get fairly central to the west side of the cemetery. And he says, like just here, I found myself, I'm pretty sure, that I no longer saw her in front of me. And you find yourself, as I mentioned, yes, in the older part where there certainly are some regular headstones for graves, as well as a handful of various sized structures on either side of the road here. It is a muddy path that is obviously all the more so thanks to the rain coming down. Various graves are covered, are decorated with flowers and such, but the main pathway is relatively poorly tended, with some weeds on either side and a well-worn walking place in the middle.
Would I be able to look around for footprints or a trail to follow?
Absolutely. Give me the roll for that. What is it?
Maybe
It's
track?
like a specific. Yeah, track.
Okay, not very good. Nope.
Anybody else want to give it a try?
Yeah, I'll be using my spotlight and stuff, looking around.
Sure. I was also going to just sort of look instead for, I don't know, like larger mausoleums that look like they would have an underground area to them.
I will say, with that extreme track roll, make sure you mark that off for the end of the
I
campaign.
have done. That's the first thing I did.
You do spot a woman's footprints that are continuing in the ground.
I won't tell anybody I've seen this, but I'll get my Ouija board out.
The rain ruins your Ouija board.
Oh, no, it's a plastic one. It's hard. That's which direction to go.
It will take you some effort to set up your Ouija board. I also don't think plastic Ouija boards are going to be a thing this time.
No, they're not. I'm just seriously messing right now.
So do you tell people then about you have spotted?
Yeah, so look, it seems that she may have gone this way, and I'll start following.
So yeah, you start following the footprints, and presumably other people follow along with you. And you continue to wind your way through some of the gravestones here and the various buildings. I will say that, like, yes, there are a handful of different buildings that would potentially contain areas underneath them. That would be pretty normal, in fact, considering how clear it is. You make your way along and find yourself pulling up to a larger, a larger court area that has paving stones that line it with a variety of different tall mausoleums on each side that ring around it. The trail that you're following stops at this point since there's no longer mud that you can track it.
On my trail following through, any of the patches of the ground look like they had got dead, basically?
No.
Okay. I think she perhaps, I can't find the tracks anymore. It ends here, but perhaps we should look around at any of these doors opened.
Do any of the names on the mausoleums look significant based on the stuff we know about these papers?
That is something I had told Mike in the break that I was going to look at was names.
I don't need to know what all of them are, just like, is one of them Cobb or something? Really awesome.
Amelia Court is one of them.
The
The
tracks ran up to a mausoleum, or just like a paved part of the...
It's just like a paved sort of courtyard area, I thought, with the mausoleums around it. So we just lost it.
Yeah.
Because it's like paved area.
Okay, so there's like several mausoleums on
Yeah.
Like a circle.
Okay.
So yes, you look at them. There are three major mausoleums, one straight ahead and one to each side. If you go and you inspect them closely, you will find three different names, family names adorn them. One of them is the Marshes, the next is the Kerwins, and finally the Masons.
Marshes, the which ones, and who's?
Kerwins and Masons.
Kerwins.
Wasn't the fool a Mason?
Yes, he was.
Mason?
Yes, it was. It was Kaiser Mason.
Yeah, Keziah Mason.
Keziah Mason. Yeah, I even wrote it as Keziah, so I don't even know why I wrote Kaiser. I mean, said Kaiser. I actually wrote Keziah.
Yeah.
Keziah Mason is a fool. Is there any, you know how like there's like a family crest? By chance, is there a crest here with a flute mirror, rabbit, and lead?
There are family crests. They do not contain that iconography.
Okay.
Seeing the Mason name, I would be like, this is the only one that seems significant to me. With what Mr. Brady found in Miss Court's notes.
I would like to suggest that we enter, and to the DM, for my occultist kind of stuff, I'd like to kind of do some kind of protection ritual to try and have something watch over me.
Sure. So before you attempt to enter, I will say you do a series of sigils with hand gestures, enacting a ward of protection. You do not use any magic points because this is something from your occult knowledge. But give me an occult roll. Let's see how good you do.
I use that 2 instead for the occult.
No, because then you wouldn't have followed this. You'd be lost in the middle of the cemetery in the rain.
Okay.
You do a good job. You do some nice hand signals.
I feel like Doctor Strange is with me.
Walking up, this is a large Gothic mausoleum, about 2 stories high. It is probably about 30 feet to a side, an imposing structure. It's made out of red sandstone and has small slits that adorn both levels. The front of it has a large entryway with a small alcove that gives the person closest some respite in the rain. The wrought iron gate that adorns it is, at first glance, securely fastened.
I then inspect the lock a little bit more, see if I can jiggle it open.
I'll look around the side to see if there's like a side entrance that I can find.
Does the gate look like it could be like locked from the inside, or does this sort of indicate that it is unlikely that there's someone in there?
Looking at it, it is a old style lock that may well be able to be operated from either side. You have to get onto the other side to see it.
It's not like there's a chain and a lock hanging.
No, exactly. It's an old style like key like thing that would open and close this. In terms of trying to unlock it or move it, it is definitely holding fast. And then as far as going around and inspecting the outside, Louise, you can make a circuit of it. I guess if you want to really carefully look for potentially hidden entrances, give me a spot hit.
Can I try and look in one of the windows?
Slits? Yeah, there's slits. You could try. There is darkness inside. I guess you could try and peer in with like there's slits that you would really see very good. And with a 90 spot hidden, you do not find any additional signs of entry.
Not rolling hot today.
Thinking back on everything that we've gone through, do the Kerwins or Marshalls ring any bells to me?
No. I will say though, Brady, give me a history roll.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we came across any of these names. Anybody else recall them? Because I think Mason might be the best one.
The gate is locked and isn't moving. Before we try and break it, perhaps we may as well see if any of the others are open.
With a hard success on the history roll, I will say that Brady could tell you that all 3 of these families are extremely well-heeled stock from this area. They represent many of the more important various families and offshoots that have gone back in history, all the way to the founding of the colony. These are people who were particularly involved in the Salem witch trials, people who were various like judges, ministers, clergy, etc., that all have deep roots. Obviously, you've already drawn that Keziah Mason was a fool connection. The Masons, in particular, did have some of their members who were tried for witchcraft, and in some cases convicted, but for the most part, generally were found to be not guilty of those kinds of charges. You can also note that the Kerwins do have a estate that is still being maintained and lived in on the outskirts of town. The matron of the estate, though, is the last remaining. That's the matron of the estate. Uh, is no longer going by the name Kerwin, unfortunately. Or sorry, not unfortunately, by Kerwin, because obviously she married and took on her husband's name, and there was no male heir to the Kerwin name to continue running the estate. But you cannot remember at this time what the actual new last name that she took on is.
Oh, Brady, you got a lot of knowledge. You need a... Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
I'd say, I think Miss Baker is right. We should check the other ones for any obvious signs of entry before we tried breaking into one of them.
Did you, by chance, notice that footsteps went away from these? Like, if she exited and just carried on in the grass somewhere else?
You guys could take a look. There is two other ways that you can exit this little area. If you want to, I'll say with your extreme success on your track, that will continue on. You go and you inspect the other two directions that go, and you go a little ways back until it's muddy path once more. You do not see further signs of passage.
Okay, great. I'll confirm that with the team. It has to have been somewhere around here. Anybody any good at breaking locks?
I have one or two tricks up my sleeve. Nora will indicate the butt and more business end of her pistol.
I guess before we do that, we should check the other ones. Just check like the front door and your gate.
So you go and you go over to the marsh one next. A similarly towering edifice, about the same height as that of the Mason one, but this one built in gray slate. It is similarly adorned, but has gargoyles atop it. Approaching the door, it is a strong oaken door with iron bars, and it. At least if they're just trying to open it, does not budge. And finally, the Kerwin is a more of a tan sandstone. It is pinnacled with what look like almost minarets in style. It similarly stands about 2 stories tall with a pointy pinnacle at the top, right in the center. It, as you approach it, has a similar iron gate that is also equally well locked, and you can see better inside as it has more open bars. All is quiet within, as on either side are 2 large sarcophagi, but there is a dark staircase that descends down below that you can see just on the other side of the room.
so using our flashlights, can we see inside of these structures where someone could have tracked in rainwater, just like dripping off of them, or just from their shoes?
Yeah, so the first one you can kind of sort of see inside, but it's difficult because of how thick the iron bars are in terms of ornamentation. You see very little in there. And the second one is completely blocked. The third, as I said, you can see inside. Give me a spot hit. With an extreme success, while there is no water immediately on the other side of the gate, You swing your lantern back and forth and peer carefully through. You do see some telltale signs of dampness at the very edge of the stairs descending down below.
And which one was this?
In Kerwin.
I assume you point this out to us.
Yes. Yeah, I would definitely. Whoever's with me, if everyone's with me, I would definitely tell them. But I'd also caution that it could just be coincidence, too. Maybe look for
Yeah, it may be
if
like there's a
water.
leak or something.
Yeah, I would kind of wait and maybe try and notice if there was a leak, if that's maybe the cause. That I could just see where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, certainly taking a look, you don't see anything that makes it clearly an obvious explanation. I mean, it's certainly not to say that with these kinds of stone structures that there can't be like a trickle leak that's not obvious in terms of a drip, but there's no immediate explanation obvious.
So, do we go with our initial hunch that it could be the Masons, or do we take this as evidence that this might be the one to open up and try and inspect first, or
Perhaps before we break our way into the mausoleum of her respective family, we are looking for her after all. We don't know what exactly she's up to. We could simply stake out the place, see if she wanders back out anytime soon.
The Kerwins were the ones that had suspicions of witchcraft, right? Or was it the Marshes?
Yeah.
Kerwins?
So in terms of the witchcraft, so there's Keziah Mason is definitely like the one that's a specific reference to somebody who was implicated in terms of witchcraft. Otherwise, though, they generally all three families tilt towards being very well-respected families in terms of like being parts of either religious or mercantile or legal related professions.
You mentioned earlier that the courts had a rather significant estate.
Yes, so the dean mentioned that Amelia's family keeps an estate on the
Would the the Rickleys rather, have any interaction with them? And perhaps Nora would have heard the name and sort of know anything about them.
I don't know what I'll let you do a roll for that. I guess just a luck roll because it's a tangential thing to draw. Okay, you're lucky. You can put together that the Kerwin name, having died out, or sorry, not died out, but have lost a male heir, is now the courts.
That's what I assumed too.
How can we get there? Okay, so yeah, that's the one that I think Dora would sort of suggest focusing on, but suggest that this probably is not a job for just Flinders alone, and that since there are in theory now 6 of us here, we can pair off and each keep sort of an eye on one of the mausoleums specifically, see if we notice anything weird or see her coming back out.
So we're not going down?
Well, I mean, it would probably be pretty loud, and anything that we might catch her at, she would, stop doing. Unfortunately. Unless someone has a better idea for getting down there. If someone is like, ooh, hairpin, in we go, cool, but...
I don't think anybody took lockpick skill.
No, that seems like a Nora thing, and that's not a Nora thing, so...
Um, I would say I don't like the idea of sitting in the rain, but um, I agree if we make too much noise, then she's alerted to our presence. That could ruin our whole purpose of being here.
How is the weather right now?
Definitely raining. Like it's now like regular thunderstorm raining, not like crazy intense like mythological rainstorm, but like it's a bad rain.
Are there any like nearby trees that people could be able to watch from? It's pretty dark, so.
Yeah, there are a few trees in the cemetery. As mentioned, it's pretty chock-a-block, but particularly around these mausoleums, because they are one of the richer areas, there's a few little small copses, few like individual trees that are around. They probably wouldn't provide a ton of protection considering how much rain is coming down, but would at least break the worst of it.
Use it for
Nora doesn't
cover, at
really
least.
care, but I feel like at some point my gun won't fire, so.
Well, they're going to fire.
Yeah, I guess it's not powder anymore.
Yeah, like unless you're using a real weapon, you're talking cartridges at the same age.
I say we take a chance on one, and then I can post out here with Flinders, and we can keep an eye on at least one or two of the other two, and if something comes up out here, myself or Flinders could come down and signal you.
I would say that we're at the point that we should probably break it here, and we'll give James a chance to weigh in as well. He's in theory there with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good
I
idea.
would like to real quick look around for secret entrances on this one.
Good idea. Okay, you can go and do a walk around and give me a spot hit.
Okay. Come on, good roll. Hey.
Well, there we go. You make your way around the outside of this mausoleum. You take a careful look, checking everything, and you don't see anything that seems like an obvious like way in or out. But you do see that it clearly, based on the architecture, does indicate that the stairway that you can see on the other side goes down a ways. So you draw that inference that it's not like a tiny little spot underneath it. That's all that's there. But you don't specifically spot like another exit in the immediate city.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have anything else, so I guess we'll cut it here then.
I want to keep going, but like, yeah, I don't know. This is definitely like, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, James might have a idea that none of us are thinking of.
He might be good at lockpicking or locksmith.
I should check that. I don't think so, though.
I've got one.
Yeah, I've got exactly one as well.
I think he said he had like 10. Like, he had put some in there, but...
Yeah, he has 10. He has a tiny bit of locksmith thing, so he has a small chance of being able to pull it off.
If only I knew a unlock spell. No, I mean, I guess we have to sit and wait.
Well, I was thinking maybe just... Flinders, you wouldn't happen to know how to pick locks.
Well, I'm excellent at that. Whoa.
Never failed, 100%.
Flinders is like, I think I have a spell I can use that will get us in there. And he begins rummaging around in his pack.
Please get it out. I'd love
Deus
to
Ex
see it.
Flinders.
He pulls out a hamster. The hamster immediately runs underneath the door and disappears into the catacombs.
Did you say any of them were open? Any of them were
No,
unlocked?
none of them were open. All three were quite securely locked. Only the Kerwin one was one that you could see in pretty well through the bars, whereas the other two were difficult to see, if not impossible to see inside.
Right, and then Louise only did the check around the mason.
And the
I
girl.
just did
Oh,
the
you did?
check around the court. Correct.
Oh, you did?
That's
Okay, I
what
missed that.
the
Sorry.
success was. I did have one more idea. Just
Any
in my head.
drains?
Um, is there like a central building, like where like a groundskeeper would be, that might have like keys to the?
Yeah, so as you entered, there is a very small, just on the inside, just on to the right of the main entrance when you came in. There were no signs of light inside, but it's really at night. You wouldn't know offhand whether the graveskeeper is on hand all the time, or maybe lives nearby, and that's just like a place that's not stored. But not a bad idea. You might be able to find some kind of keys or something there.
I'll mention that, but we can resolve that next time.
Well, exciting. Definitely making some significant progress